All right, everyone, we should be live. Let's make sure that's actually the case. Over on Rumble, of course, where we no longer need to refresh. There are over 200 people waiting, so I'm hopeful about that possibility. David's Dog Spa, howdy from Wichita, Kansas. Sigilstone17 sent a video. I wonder what it contains. It is Max Vandervost present Similior Vol 2017. Interesting. Maybe I'll take a look at that later. Mulgera85 says Clank and Russ Hanneman, Sigil Stone rocks. Yeah, he's a pretty cool fan. I like all of my fans. We have a lot to talk about today. Of course, Trump indicted again. We'll go over that mainly from the perspective of, who didn't predict that he was going to get indicted in Georgia. And it's a witch hunt. As far as the indictment itself, I'm not even going to bother going over the details because it's so clear cut that it's persecutorial in nature. So nobody really gives a fucking shit about that. Biden has his Katrina moment now. He's being reamed right now. He was on the beach, actually, in Rehoboth, where he spends about 3/7 of his time or thereabouts. Mostly he goes to the beach and he goes biking, and he's not too interested in the goings-ons of other people. And he made that fairly clear when he was asked about the Maui fires with his very terse response. We'll also belatedly be talking about Richmond, north of Richmond, the song, and also killer otters and a few other things here. I do see that I am live. Don't worry, we got plenty of news. Mopey Hornet, hey Sticks, will you give Baldur's Gate 3 a chance? I don't know, maybe. Is it open world, first person? Then maybe so. I'm only interested in games that are first person, open world, and with quite a bit of fighting involved. I also like it if there's a crafting system of some sort. I want to be able to build things and make it seem like I'm making a difference in the game. Like with Fallout 4, it was an improvement on Fallout 3 that they had settlements, definitely. So that part of the game is unimpeachable. It was too limited, but with some mods and add-ons, it pretty much worked. Boojilicious the Third. Got my Biltong sampler delivered yesterday on my birthday. Everything is delicious, particularly the Wagyu. Thank you, Anton. Clank from Iowa. Sparky, greetings, fearless leader. Greetings to you. James Flowers, modified New Vegas into an unplayable state. Now I have to fix what I bricked. That in itself is almost part of the game. Yeah, it's a glitch haven, that's for sure. Sinister Minister. Saw your video on unions with the privileged brown graduate. Nice job. Thank you. And Wasted Bonehead over on Rumble. Good morning from the grave. Yes, our resident zombie got up a little bit early today, I believe. Normally it takes you longer. Yeah, must be the caffeine. The Patriot Cairo. Pence concerning Maui. Not my concern. Yeah, exactly. That was Biden's response. It's not, I don't give a shit. 100 people died. Thousands of vehicles and homes were damaged or destroyed. Yeah, no comment. We'll be talking about that. We'll be riffing on him. It should be in the Katrina moment. But for that to be the case, you would have to actually have the legacy media cover it. That will be part of my analysis. So the first news, the most obvious, Trump has been indicted now for a fourth time. Dozen new charges, basically, from the state of Georgia, where Kemp won't do jack shit to stop it, by the way. In Georgia, I believe you have a pardoning committee. So he can sort of hide behind that and say, well, I'm sorry, but the people on the committee wouldn't let me pardon Donald Trump for literally absolutely goddamn nothing. Same with Giuliani, Sidney Powell, and a bunch of other people that have been indicted there on various included charges. Yes, the state of Georgia has decided to indict Trump. He's now getting towards 100 felonies, actually. So he's looking at, only a couple thousand years in prison if found guilty of all of them. This is persecution. The dogpiling, the stacking of charges, the timing of it to coincide with an election is pretty obvious. I don't even think that any liberal can with a straight face declare otherwise. They will nonetheless ignore it. They will say that it's justified because Orange Man bad, because MSNBC told them so. And that's basically what we're looking at right now. Half of the country is in denial. They're in denial that this is a form of political persecution that's more commensurate with what you would see in the third world as opposed to the supposedly civilized, developed world. That's number one. Number two, I believe Donald Trump to be innocent of all of the charges against him. The idea that they're dragging Rico in here and a bunch of bullshit like that is horseshit. He did not seem to have any foreknowledge of the fake electors, something that's been brought up in past elections too, by the way, alternative electors. He doesn't seem to have had any involvement with that. His phone call to Georgia is not illegal. Take a look at the hot takes. Go take a casual stroll right now through Twitter. I'm not even going to bother going through all of this horseshit. Same with Jack Smith's nonsense and Alvin Bragg's nonsense. Just take a casual stroll through Twitter and you will see the tale of two worlds. In one world, Donald Trump is the most felonious, crooked, scampy, terrible person who has ever been in U.S. politics. Everyone else is trying to stop him from destroying democracy. The rest of the Uniparty, every politician, most of the bankers, most of the elite tech barons, et cetera, craptivists and so forth, while they've been cheating the public for decades, finally they found someone that was too far beyond the pale. And I've talked about this before, and I'll bring this up anytime I have to. I'm supposed to believe that all of the people that I know to be corrupt and sleazy and toxic have solidified in order to defend their republic because they found one particular criminal who was so far beyond, so terrible, so evil that they had to stop him. Or I can choose to believe, and this is what I believe, Donald Trump genuinely means well, for egotistical purposes partially, he wants to do a good job and he wants to put globalism back on the back burner, get rid of it, and proceed with an America First policy. And that all of the crooked scamps and all of the weirdos that I know to be crooked scamps and weirdos remain so, and that Donald Trump is unique among them in that he flew the coop. Effectively, he did what a black person not voting Democrat does in the United States. He fled the plantation. He was supposed to be a donor class neoliberal / neocon. They're the same thing. And he decided that he wanted to do something more for egotistical purposes partially. And so now he's being crucified for it. This is literally like the witch hunts. You have persecution of dissidents. You have evidence-less trials. You have a miscarriage of justice at the highest rungs of power in both state and at the federal level, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This, are we in the 1600s again or something? Also, you've got Hong Kong, certain medical things that date to the 1300s. So I guess if you average it out, we're around the time that clocks were invented. So this is, it's sickening, actually. It's comedic on one hand because it shows the desperation of the Uniparty. It's so transparent, and yet there are so many people that don't understand what's happening. On that token, it's amusing watching them be ignorant, watching them be a bunch of shit fucks. It's also terrifying because if they can do this to a multi-billionaire former president, just think of what they can do to you. At this point, it's basically, for me, Trump or nothing. Nobody gets persecuted this much by the deep state to this degree, unless genuinely something is terribly wrong with the system. And what I fear is that if Donald Trump is elected, and I think he has a good chance of being so, look at who his opponent is, then we end up with a constitutional crisis. The deep state will still be lashing out. They'll probably try to start riots on purpose like they did with J6. If Trump is not elected, I fear that we've wasted our final chance to use anything at the ballot box to restore our republic to some semblance of working fashion. And even if we're successful, let's say that we elect Donald Trump come 2024. Even if there are a significant number of populists and or outsiders in general, they don't even have to be Republicans. They don't even have to be MAGA. Outsiders in general flood through the halls of the House, the Senate, etc., and it's morning in America again. Even then, it's going to take more than one administrative term for everything to be solved. You need a dynasty at that point. And it's not going to happen with fucking DeSantis at this point. He's completely exhausted his political capital. Basically, the best thing we can hope for is Donald Trump is reelected, Grover Cleveland style, give a shock to the system of the Uniparty, and then we get like a Rand Paul for a couple of terms. You give it 3 terms, assuming that you have a reasonably favorable Congress, you might be able to buy us another half century of time in putting globalism back where it belongs, which is the goddamn grave. Basically, let me explain something. Our founders wanted to get away from the exact kind of system that's currently being incepted on a worldwide scale. We see it here in Europe. I'm in the Netherlands physically currently. Farm confiscations, attacks on free expression, disarmament, etc., 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 the whole 9 yards. It's the same old world system that our founders were trying to get away from. The one person who's trying to half-assedly, he's not even perfect. I don't agree with him all the time. Donald Trump half-asses some of these issues. The one person, though, willing to throw away his entire career, his entire legacy, his entire fortune, potentially, depending on what happens with the fees as litigation continues, that one person is getting persecuted into the ground for half-assedly trying to restore us a soft reset style sort of thing to like the early 80s, like the Reagan period or something like that. Imagine if you had a group that was actually dedicated to more radical reform. I said before in 2016, the United States was exceptionally fortunate that Donald Trump was elected. We have a chance. The old world, look at what's happening in Germany. We'll be talking about that later. I'm sorry, but parts of the old world don't have a chance and are probably going to devolve into a goddamn world war situation. The United States elected a mild reformist movement capable of reducing social stress and bringing things back from the brink. Other countries have not been so fortunate because of systemic persecution, because of the old world system that they labor under. The United States falling would cripple the entire world. By the way, the Eastern Bloc wouldn't fare so well either. China's having its own problems right now. So with the Hinkles of the world, the East-West blockers, yeah, you're fooling yourself. You don't seem to understand how world trade even works, and nor do you understand the basic premise of the existence of a globalistic uniparty. It goes beyond the United States, fucker. Anyway. Ashley, a depression greater than the original might be needed to get people into fixing their state's politics. Normies are awakening, but not fast enough. Last time there was a depression, most people owned land, though. This time, most of them do not. That would be a little bit of a problem. Dinocide 13. Turns out my physical therapist is a clanker as well. She referred to you as sticks and hammers and said I look and talk similar to you. Lol, I thought it was funny. Clank to her for being the first doctor able to fix my back. Nice. Sounds pretty cool. Sparky, Chris Wray, and fired interim AG Sally Yates are part of the old boy network that controls Georgia politics. Small world. Yeah, lots of coincidences with these latest persecutorial witch hunt movements. Morning Thought Farm sent $2, but no comment. Thank you anyway. Kristen Kelly, I'm expecting my first child to be born on January 6th. Any advice for a first-time mom? Thanks for all you do. We never miss a day. Good on you, and congratulations. I would say definitely research things like sleep regression, and look online for advice more. Liz would be the expert for that. She could tell you, she could sit there and talk for 2 hours on the subject. She's mainly the one like the idea of having the child sleep on their own, waiting a few minutes. If they do cry, they wake up from a nightmare or whatever. Wait a few minutes, they might self-soothe, and so they learn that skill. That's a big one. Liz has basically saved my career, actually, on that token. So thank you very much to my wife. I wouldn't have known to do that. My first inclination, as I think most parents would be, is, oh, the baby's crying, you go and you hold them, and then you wait until they pass back out, and then you put them back in the crib. That's not a good idea, actually, because then they will start crying just to get held, and it becomes a big problem. So you have to be a little bit long-suffering. Also, eat healthy. If you do need to walk off at any point, this would be my biggest piece of advice, and both myself and Liz occasionally have to do this. If things do get too much and you really feel like this is too much for me, the stress is too much, go ahead and walk off, take a breather for 10, 15 minutes. Go ahead and let your partner watch the baby for that period of time. Now, you might not always be able to do that, but when you are, go ahead, have your breather, go get your snack or something like that. It's good for the child in the long run because their parents are less stressed. That would be my biggest piece of advice. John Shively, after Trump has his mugshot taken, how many shirts with his mugshot on it do you think he will sell? 6 million? It'll be one of the most legendary images of all time, and you know that he's going to mug for the camera. I will probably buy one of those shirts myself and proudly wear it because it'll be fucking hilarious. Oh boy, they're basically giving him, I don't know, 30, 40, 50 million in campaign donations just by having a mugshot at all in Georgia. Yeah, I can't wait to see that one. James Flowers, something from Stacy for you. She's broke. Oh, that's sad. Sigil Stone, morning sticks. Ron DeSantis went on CNBC to urge Disney to stop suing him. I saw that, saying he's moved on from his fight with them. He's rolling back his own victories like a good establishment stooge. Yes, Ron DeSantis appears to have partially cucked on the Disney issue, which is sad. This is one thing on which I agreed with him with. You were right to sue Disney. Ron DeSantis was in the right. I can name plenty of things that he's done wrong, strategically or policy-wise. This is not one of them. You were the one standing up against the bullies at Disney with their corporate town that shouldn't exist in the first place because it's monopolism fed by government, by taxpayer money. This was one of your achievements, and you've decided to let it go. And I don't know. I don't understand what the fuck he's even in the race for at this point. Trump is fundamentally right. He should just drop out. You're sub 15, dude. You're not going to be able to recover from that. Wasted bonehead. Vote Trump to resurrect the republic. Then Sticks can shout, it's alive. It's alive. Yeah, I would too. Unfortunately, it's also possible that it fucks off under the wheels of a bus and dies. Latin Hero 1818. Isn't it strange coincidence that John Pelletier, the guy who ran the police force in Vegas during the mass shooting, was in charge of the police in Maui during the fires now? I didn't know that. I'll have to fact check it. The Patriot Cairo. We can't fight the left unless we remember the past. Number one person can save the USA. There is no white knight. It's either a community effort or we fail. Exactly. Individualism is necessary. If any individual component of a machine is rusted out, bent, fucked up, the machine doesn't work so well. Sometimes it doesn't work at all. You must self-improve. Improve your financial situation, restrain your spending, make more money, build a skill, lose a vice, do whatever you have to do. Because I'm telling you, if the Uniparty is successful in the 24 election, things will get pretty bad. Even if they're not successful, things will probably get economically very bad because they've already set a bunch of ticking time bombs, probably in anticipation of Trump possibly winning. Then they can pin it on him and blame him for the situation that they created. Latin Hero 1818 again, part 2. Not to mention that so many of those houses burnt down were residential homes that refused to sell to large real estate developers. It is very coincidental, I agree. Really Graceful had an intriguing video on this. Yes, we will be talking about Maui. Ozzy's Robots, good morning. So I found out here and now Trump was indicted yet again, which shows how little the MSM matters anymore, or this witch hunt for that matter. Yeah, I mean, I was like, oh, he's been indicted again. I'm so surprised. The first time around, it was a little bit of a shock because it's like, you're breaking 250 years of legal precedent. This time, it's number 4 now. It's become passé. Nobody even gives a fuck. Fire down below. I fear that DeSantis will be the nominee by throwing Trump under the bus. I don't think that'll happen. MAGA will then stay home, but the machine will honk him to victory. Well, he can't. There's a 0% chance of DeSantis becoming the next president of the United States. I'll tell you that. Even if whether you assume he's a unipartyist or an outsider or some Ted Cruz-like fusion of the two, he needs the consent of the core MAGA, at least in large part, to have any possibility of winning, unless there were an absolute landslide election. And things just don't look like they're aiming in that direction. So I think that Ron DeSantis, if he were nominated, would lose. In fact, he would lose in a landslide. He'd be completely humiliated. The Uniparty would win because, of course, their guy's still in there. And even if DeSantis were to win, they'd have someone who's amenable. He's not Donald Trump. Donald Trump has been willing to throw away basically his entire life in order for one last hurrah to try to get back into that executive position. The liberals, therefore, cast it off as he's trying to stay out of prison by becoming president again so they can't do anything to him. And he might not leave when he's done with his term because then he'll be thrown in prison, as though that's fucking even legally feasible. Secret Service would drag him out at that point. That's not going to happen. Donald Trump's not running for that purpose. He realizes he's an older gentleman now, and he's trying. He's trying his best. I believe in his motives. I don't believe in all of his methods. I don't believe in all of his policies. I see plenty of mistakes that Donald Trump has made in the past and is even making in the present. But he has the character of a person, in my opinion, and I've said it for years now, where he does genuinely want to do what is right and what helps people because he wants their applause. He wants to, the liberals aren't wrong when they say he wants to be loved. It's not out of any sort of deficit of personal affection or something like that. He wants applause. He genuinely wants that. You don't do that trying to become a dictator or something like that, reigning over a civil war. You do that by reforming the system, making things marginally better for the average person that, as we'll see, Joe Biden has reprehension for. King of Biltong. Good morning from Antons in Roanoke, Texas. Rumble seems broken on Firefox, not showing the live. Anyway, free shipping using code STICKS for your biltong. YouTube blocks words, so that's all. Have a great day, everyone. Hashtag Clank Nation. It's interesting. Can anyone else attest to that over on Rumble? Does Firefox, will it show Rumble? Or maybe he's got an outdated version or something. I don't know. That can happen with browsers. Not a banned account. Since Trump is a flight risk, will he be jailed now? They might be crazy enough to try it. Boy, oh boy, would that be crazy. Rock Sicklin Hammer 999. If I order biltong from Anton's, will I get it confiscated at the California border? Dangerously delicious. Also, parrots are better than cats. I don't think so, although California does have wonky food importation laws, so you'll have to check up on your state statutes. Yeah, parrots are all right, although they do bitey things. Babybug Express. Sticks use Babybug Express to deliver all my biltong from Anton's in Roanoke, Texas. Also, his shorts are great here on ScrewTube. Lance Corporal Veteran. Why say Trump's indictment invites violence when right barely riot? Well, I think that may go a step beyond the comfort zone of certain groups of people. I'm just going to put that out there. I won't elaborate on a YouTube live stream. Not a banned account. When Trump is jailed, he wins. Trust in the plan. It's more like if Trump is jailed, more people will wake up to how fucked up the system is, and he can end up winning the presidency from a jail cell, setting up a constitutional crisis that SCOTUS, 3 of the justices being appointed by him, has to weigh in on. Sigil Stone. See the house explosion in Pennsylvania? Happened in the township of Polk, which has had 3 house explosions in 15 years. The dangers of hiring the lowest bidder to install your gas lines. I didn't see about that, no. Speaking about explosions, fire, and terror, and other things of that nature, beach bumming in Bidenomics. Will Hawaii wildfires become the president's Katrina moment? Yes, Joe Biden was asked the other day. There's about 100 people dead in Hawaii right now. There were wildfires in Maui. They may have been the result of arson. In fact, I lean towards believing that's likely the case. It's too convenient. Every time that the legacy media and the politicians start rambling about climate change when there's a major fire, we find out weeks or months later, hey, someone said it on purpose. Don't talk about it too much. It's because they want to scare the public into giving up their SUV or something, thinking that that'll change the world. Regardless, though, it's a humanitarian disaster. We're talking billions in damage. 100+ lives lost. And of course, they're going to be digging lives out of the rubble probably for some time, which is unfortunate. Lots of people dead. The problem is that when Joe Biden was queried about this, his reaction was literally no comment. It was 2 words. I'm not paraphrasing him. I'm quoting him. No comment. I don't care. And he was smiling too when he weighed in on this. That doesn't go over too well with the U.S. public. Now, of course, Biden doesn't care about Hawaii's voters because the state is so overwhelmingly blue. He could go to Hawaii. He could go to a luau right now, drop his pants, shit all over the pineapples, and leave in a haze. He would still end up winning the state in the general election. It's too far blue. He doesn't care. I mean, he's going after New York on their immigration policy, in part because New York is so blue. He's not going to lose there either. Joe Biden is a cutthroat political opportunist, and he hasn't lost that edge. He may be mildly demented, maybe mild to moderate at this point, but he understands which states are automatically going to go for him or against him. This is why he didn't bother to show up during the train derailment era, because it's Ohio. It's a red state now. Why the fuck would he bother showing up? He's not going to get any kudos from them. It's not going to flip the state, so he doesn't care about them. He's a political opportunist. Now, will this be, by the way, the cat's puking over on the side and probably hear the, will this be his Katrina moment? No, I will tentatively say this is my prediction. I don't think it's a Katrina moment. Some people will look at his reaction to the Maui fires, which is basically Mike Pence style. It's not my concern. Hey, I'm too busy giving money to Ukraine. I don't give a fuck about these people in Hawaii. Katrina displaced internally tens of thousands of people and killed many, many more. The death toll was much higher. The damage was much more widespread. It wasn't just Louisiana. It was Mobile, Alabama. A lot of these communities got fucked. Tens of thousands of people wandered around homeless for an extended period. I can't remember exactly the final tally of damage, but considering the fact that it was a large proportion of several large cities, it was much larger than the amount of damage to Maui. Now, while I have sympathy for the people of Hawaii, and they shouldn't be disrespected so by their so-called commander-in-chief, the steward, basically, it's not comparable. If this were a Katrina moment, and 1,000 people died and 100,000 people were homeless and the damage was in the hundreds of billions or trillions of dollars and it had gutted an entire state's economy and it was all anyone was talking about, then Joe Biden's reaction would sink his political career. The problem is twofold. Number one, the public will look at this, and especially when you're making comparisons to Katrina, it's not a good idea. Because if they compare it to Katrina, they'll say, okay, well, it's so much smaller an incident. Okay, I understand. Crazy Uncle Joe has, he fucked up, as he does literally every other time he talks to people. And so they'll excuse it. Number two, a lot of them won't even know that his no comment incident even happened because the legacy media didn't cover for George W. If there's one shining glory of that particular area, it's that there was still just enough journalistic standards so that people would crucify Bush when he said or did something stupid. Hence the rise of Bushisms. Oddly enough, the legacy media doesn't at the end of the year run a reel hour long, probably it'd have to be, of Bidenisms. It's completely apples to oranges. Yes, they're both major disasters. Yes, with a callous remark off the cuff by the so-called commander-in-chief, by the asterisk administration. Yes, major faux pas. Yes, major disaster. Yes, very sad. But they're not comparable in scope, and the legacy media's behavior regarding reporting around those incidents, not even close. So this is not a Katrina moment. I would expect it to decline his support somewhat, but you got to understand, anyone at this point that is still looking at the news and going deeper than just the 10 seconds of CNN coverage has already decided not to trust Biden. Unless they're a deep-seated political partisan, they've already gotten off the Biden short bus. So it doesn't affect anything. He will suffer a slight decline in support as the result of this. No, I don't believe that unless the legacy media grows some balls and stops being state mouthpieces, I don't expect it to really affect him much, which is unfortunate. But here on this channel, you don't get blackpilled, but you do get the truth. This is not going to sink, in my opinion, Biden's entire political existence. It harms him, but not to the same degree as a Katrina moment. Anonymous, good morning from Roanoke, Virginia. Any clankers in the area? Check out the Roanoke Valley Libertarians. I'm also starting a D&D group, link in our Discord. Interesting. Elasmobra, narcissists want to be loved. Tyrants want to be feared. At worst, Trump is a narcissist, but he is no tyrant. I think he's a bit narcissistic. Yeah, absolutely. He's got a huge ego. It's part of his success story. But that ego leads him to want to appease the population because he's like, hey, I've already got the money. I've already got the notoriety. Now I want the power. The only thing in the entire world that Donald Trump at this point can possibly do to improve upon the record he already has, to get that one last jewel in the crown, is to get a second term. And you don't do that by being a shitfuck. You do that by appeasing people. Not a banned account. Chances a lone nut job JFK's Trump in the election. Unfortunately, very measurable. There's also a chance that some crazy person takes a shot at Biden, which would be about the worst thing in fucking possibility considering who replaces him. Yeah, Kamala Harris, President of the United States. Hey, assassins, put down the guns. No, please don't. Our republic would probably not survive that. Ken Davis, just a quick thanks. I enjoy your content pretty much daily. Good taste, thank you. Morning Thought Farm. Hey, Sticks, can I get a shout out for my channel? Longtime fan. Okay, Morning Thought Farm gets a shout out there. Thank you very much. The Patriot Cairo. Biden says 368 billion approved for climate control facility, said the quiet part out loud. Also says he invoked military for climate policy enforcement. Yeah, which is basically a money sponge. He's not afraid of climate change any more than the Obamas with their roughly at sea level Martha's Vineyard mansion or any of the other rich bitches out there in DC, New York, etc. They don't even believe in their own bullshit. Their actions are a testament to that. King of Biltong, we ship to the California, and so far, so good. Our worst enemy currently is carrier handling than the heat, but we replace damaged products where possible. I'll be getting mine locally. I want to see it freshly made. I'm going to make a video of that. You take me through the process. I record it, and then I'll remark on how tasty it looks. You'll sell lots of biltong. BW, you think that Biden is allowing New York City and Chirac to stew without resources for those migrants to make people desperate for immigration reform and rush to vote for Dems? Yeah, I think it's a grift, actually. Also, there's no upside for him weighing in and sending federal aid to those cities because it's a contentious issue. So by saying absolutely nothing, he at least breaks even. The Swamp Cleaner, Rip the Quartering's father. Let's all send positive clanks his way. Yes, the Quartering's dad apparently has died, so rest in peace to him. Zool. Multiculturalism should never have come into existence. The idea of coexistence is wishful thinking. Too many people want to virtue signal, even at the cost of their lives and everyone else's. What I've said is you're fundamentally correct. A multiracial society? Yeah, that's perfectly fine. As long as everyone is assimilated to a civic standard, it doesn't matter what the composition is. The problem is, of course, the two can be intertwined. They're easily misused for political purposes by a bunch of rich, moneyed grifters. So yes, multiculturalism does not work. You have one culture or you have none. Eaters of Dead. Doesn't it feel like that Republicans are just filling for impeachment as a reaction to what they're doing to Trump? Weak. Kind of. Glow in the dark. So Trump is being persecuted for doing what Congress and every other politician has done for decades, but this time more pro-American voter, truly an unforgiving sin. Selective enforcement. Am I right? You hit the nail on the head. The biggest problem that I have with Donald Trump's indictments is not that he's being indicted, although I chuff at that because it's election interference. My biggest problem is because other politicians have done the same goddamn thing over and over for centuries in the United States. They've been doing it all around the world forever. Only one man actually gets hit with a wall of charges. Do I believe that that's because he's uniquely villainous? Or looking at the various crimes of the others that are part of the indictment scheme, is it because the system is villainous? Well, I mean, liberals were more than willing to call the system villainous back in the 2000s. They were willing to call it villainous in the late 2010s when Donald Trump was president. The whole damn system is corrupt as hell. The whole damn system is fucked up. We need to do something about the evil system. You admitted it yourself, but now all of a sudden you trust the system? You're a bunch of sellouts, a bunch of losers. That's what I have to say about the modern nouveau left, if you can even call it the left. In my day, it was fuck the FCC. Now it's, hey, the FCC really needs to do more about these obsessive lyrics here. Aussie's robots. All these indictments clearly serve as a warning to any other politician that loses an election. Don't you dare challenge our honk system. That's the other part. It's partially persecution related to trying to scare people. It's why basically this is our last chance in the civic sense. This is the last time that we can reform our system at the ballot box, and then with quite a degree of difficulty. Beyond that, I can't comment. Trevor Headley, who do you believe is the political future? With any hope, we will revert to populism. We will reform our system away from globalism. The system will begin to crack on a worldwide scale, and we'll buy ourselves some additional decades or centuries. Unfortunately, though, the genie being out of the bottle, globalism will come back. We could wipe it out like blasting a tumor of cancer with a million trillion rays of fucking radiation. Completely obliterate it, burn it into cinders. It will come back. It's the eternal camp. Unfortunately, you always must fight. If you don't fight, then it means that you lose because somebody else will be willing to pick up a sword. Let's see. Swamp Donkey, Brandon Herrera, Texas District 23. Let's go, Brandon. Yeah, exactly. We finally have a Let's Go Brandon that's not a pejorative. Sigil Stones. Oh, I already read that one. Somehow I skipped Swamp Donkey there, I think, before. Zaria439, appreciate for your work. Good morning. Good morning to you as well. Thank you for enjoying it. Swamp Donkey's follow-up. Do you think Herrera has a good chance in Texas 23? Yeah, he's definitely got the notoriety. He's definitely got the very, very pro-gun stance. So, yeah, he stands a good chance. I'll be looking into any polling that anyone supplies on Texas 23 for the coming election. Wasted Bonehead sticks. America's an empire. It needs an emperor, not the steward. One, you could say, was chosen by heaven. Say his name when praying to the sky. Yeah, no, I don't think it needs an emperor. What it needs is the government to be massively reduced in size. Failing that, at the very least, we can have some populism, and then we can try to figure out our way forward in a more reasoned manner. Next, I wanted to talk about the Rich Men North of Richmond song by Oliver Anthony. Link in the description. You can take a look at it. By the way, there's also a link to the Book of Forbidden Knowledge there. This is available on Amazon. It's pinned at the top if you're watching on YouTube over in chat, and it's cross-platform embedded in the description. If you do buy a copy of this work, which is a bric-a-brac comprised of basically everything under the sun of an occult nature, from talismans and black magic all the way to spiritism and spirit rapping, please do leave a rating. By the way, pro tip to Amazon, I'm not saying to people to artificially pump the ratings or anything. I'm just saying, please do rate the work because it's already on the front page. And if I've got the lowest priced and highest rated edition at the same time, it's going to be pretty lucrative. And that buys a lot of diapers. So your 5 seconds of time in rating the work, if you purchase an edition, it goes a long way, a very, very long way. It's several tens of thousands of extra dollars a year, actually. So I wouldn't be complaining if people help me with that. As far as this song goes, getting back to the news, I am not into beard and banjo music. I'm not exactly the core demographic of, I don't know if you'd call it country specifically. It's a little bit more folky, which is actually good. It's better than the small town song. Try that in a small town. This one I like more. I actually have an issue with it, though, based on that. But I like the message. The message is a 10 out of 10. It deserves to be told. It's basically, hey, people are hurting. DC doesn't give a shit about us. And, I wish things would change. I'm mildly depressed about this. I have to work long hours and some idiot in DC gets paid 6 figures a year for peddling influence. That part I like. I don't like the musical style as much. Somebody needs to make a black metal cover. What I would say is this. It's actually hilarious because it's the rough inverse of a lot of the music that I do like. Like, I like the Eurythmics. This was my favorite band when I was younger. Annie Lennox is completely woke. She was part of that group that was like using AIDS blood in T-shirts and stuff like that. She's a third wave or post third wave rad femme, and into the id pol thing in general. She probably thinks the Green Party is too far right. So on a political level, I can't respect her, but I like the music. Depeche Mode, my favorite band of all time. They've dabbled with socialism, actually. Socialist iconography in their work. Look at Where's the Revolution? Good song. They're literally dressed like Marx and Lenin and shit in that particular music video. As a tip of the hat to their views in the 80s, which in some of their songs were anti-capitalist, or at least critical of wanton, like Reaganist capitalism. You look at like Everything Counts, everything counts in large amounts. It's a competitive world. So I don't necessarily have to like the message, but I like the music. With this, it's more, I really like the message, but the music, the beard and banjo thing just doesn't really do it for me. I hope that he makes more music, though, because he's got one hell of a voice. You got to give him that. And he's good on the banjo or fiddle or whatever the hell it's called that he's playing. I'm not 100% sure. Some sort of tinny guitar. I don't know. I don't really do musical stuff. I don't play any instruments. I can plunk around a keyboard half-heartedly. Ron Sicklehammer 999. What's your opinion on coincidences? They exist sometimes. Sometimes they don't. Glow in the dark. As long as you can funnel money through other countries or populations, you will always get globalism. I don't think that global trade, etc., inevitably leads to globalism in the metastasized version that we currently have. It can tend towards it. It can urge it, but I don't think it necessarily leads to it. I think that's the result of simply too much government control. If all the governments in the world were severely reduced in form, you wouldn't have that problem so much. We start with our own country, though. Then we use that diplomatic and economic capability to push it in other countries. We should be trying to spread 1776 to other countries and liberate them too. Instead, we're being infected by Chi-Com mentality. Katrina Gams. You've inspired me to blog out my experience of simple living and gardening while living in a busy city. My hope is to inspire more urban gardening. Excellent. That's a very worthy goal. Let's see here. Jmonty0071. I live in Georgia. I guess it makes sense why my wife was asked who she voted for when she was on jury duty about 6 months ago. Seems illegal, but legality flew out the window. You can always lie and say you didn't vote or something like that. Well, it's illegal to lie to the people that are compiling the jury. How are they going to be able to tell? Oh, I voted for Mickey Mouse for governor. I didn't vote for Kemp. Swamp Donkey, try that in a small town is super cringe. Richmond is also cringe because it's the same old sad, woe is me, bumpkin, my sister left me music. We need something that's positive. Yeah, I mean, it would be nice to have positive music, but you always have to have a few sad ballads too. I don't consider this one to be cringe. It's just not my kind of music. Like the actual sound style, all right, it's not my thing. At least it's not jazz. Improv jazz is the devil. I'd rather listen to gangster rap, listen to some Ice Cube. He seems to be fairly based, at least at times. Listen to some Immortal Technique, then you'll know sadness. Sigil Stone, City Boy Jason Aldean says, blah, 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 small town, while wanting you locked up for being unvaccinated, while some soft soy country tepidly whispers that Tom McDonald has been yelling for years. Interesting. Eaters of Dead, do you use KDP for your books? Yes, I use Amazon's KDP. It's self-published. Jake Pliskin, best books for beginning gardeners. I don't know. I sort of learned on the job with my grandpa years ago. I didn't read as many gardening books overall. I don't know. Mind of a Madman 69, Orange Man Big Part 4. Quite frankly, I'm the biggest. There may be more Orange Man Big in the future. And, now we have to talk about otters. Now, some people told me that I was wrong. A woman attacked by vicious otter. I did not think I was going to make it out of that river. And this is on the Jefferson River, actually. It's, what fucking state is that? I don't know, and I don't care. Anyway, this woman was attacked by an otter. And I started biting and clawing and stuff. And I weighed in on the story, and I said, you know, if this is a giant river otter from Brazil, I would fucking run. And if I'm in the water, I'd probably, and I'd all of a sudden I'd become a praying man because otherwise you're going to get drowned. 90-pound otter, you're not going to make it in the water. You're going to hope to get to land quick enough to outrun it. But a little 15, 20-pound otter, like the kind that you tend to get outside of deep Amazonian South America, I didn't understand why people would be particularly concerned by them. They have razor-sharp teeth. They're reasonably large, and they're aquatic animals, so definitely they do gain an advantage if they attack you when you're inner tubing, as this woman was. But by God, is there no possibility of properly fending off a 15, 20-pound animal? And so I queried people. They thought I was being cringe. They're like, oh, this is a bad take, Sticks. I'm like, okay, if I get attacked by a big otter, so again, 70, 80, 90 pounds in Brazil, I'm going to die. At that point, it'll probably just bite my throat and eat my dead body. Hopefully, I'll be dead before it starts gouging out my intestines or something. Admittedly, and not the strongest person in the world, although I'm reasonably large, so small animals are unlikely to attack unless they're sick. By the way, they gave the rabies vaccine to this woman. I would like to point out that the animal would not be in the water if it had rabies because of hydrophobia, and I don't understand why they even bothered. Should have just given her antibiotics. Might have something else wrong with it. I don't think that it's fucking rabies. For anyone out there who doesn't understand what hydrophobia is, don't look up people with hydrophobia on YouTube. It is actually rather sad. A lot of third world people, they get rabies, like in India, Pakistan. Rabies is more common there, and you'll see videos of kids suffering and stuff. So it's not a fun time. But I mean, Christ almighty, I think that I could at least fend off a 15, 20-pound animal. I realize that they're slippery. and they're very agile in water. But once it starts trying to bite your face, you would think, okay, what should I do? Should I scream and flail around, or should I take some sort of action? Oh, I know what I'll do. It's 15, 20 pounds. I can lift 15, 20 pounds. I will grab it as tightly around the neck as possible, squeeze off its goddamn throat, lift it up out of the water until it is fucking dead. Or at least it passes out, and then I toss it in the water. Maybe it drowns, maybe it doesn't. Try to show some largesse towards our fair furry friends or something. But I mean, God, otters being vicious? I've seen otters before. They just play around, and the most vicious they're going to get, they're going to raid your cooler when you're fishing or something. I've seen otters, beavers, all of these other animals. I don't understand. They've never attacked me. Supposedly, people reckon them to be basically like a wolverine. It's like it's news to me. Generally, otters are considered to be adorable and cute. I don't get it. Steve Walsh, if your favorite band is The Mode, I hope you've taken the time to visit the Pink Toothbrush in Raleigh, Essex. They started out there. Never been to Britain. Sparky, heard from a Nigerian that their Western puppet leader may not have enough control over the Nigerian military to invade Niger. Hope they stay out. I don't care. It's not my business. Mojo Hansen, Shapiro's conspiracy about Trump and DeSantis is cope. I haven't seen that. You can DM me on Twitter. What the fuck is Ben Shapiro saying now? Sparky, otters are like cute Wolverines. Yeah, Wolverine's a little bit more than 20 pounds, though, I think, right? Corto Maltese, I almost got shot this weekend, so here's $5. Congratulations to not being shot. I'm very interested under what circumstances that happened. Ozzy's Robots, why is the public so susceptible to fake news? People have always been fucking morons by and large, which is unfortunate. I like to think that I help to inoculate my already intelligent audience against bullshit with some degree of success. I have a feeling that most of you currently watching, you're high functioning because probably you're not paying attention to this kind of stream if you're not. That's number one. Number two, I will always attempt to help when I can to sort things out analytically when I see bullshit in the news, which is literally every day. But by and large, the public can be easily taken in. You make them afraid, or you promise them something. You dangle something shiny and happy in front of them. Most people, unfortunately, will jump when told to jump. I hate to tell you this, but a libertarian utopia can never actually happen. This is why there's an eternal struggle politically and socially. We can make the system better. We can constrain government more. We can make it more long-lasting. We can fortify our system better, but we can't perfect it. There will never be a utopia. So yeah, Swamp Donkey. I already read that one. I already read both of those. Nick Ray 47, listen to Tom McDonald, speaks the truth at every angle and doesn't sound like your average rapper that raps about drugs and women and just mumbles a lot. Start with Brainwashed, the song. I like Crank Lucas as well. He's a content creator on YouTube. He may be on Rumble. He definitely should be. Really talented. And he makes a constant fun of modern rap. He seems to be more of a fan of the 90s rap period than anything else. I personally prefer the 80s. A little synth in there. Sigil Stone 17. River otters are vicious bastards. Nearby town, Franklin, Pennsylvania, has an island in the river nearby. You do not go near because someone gets attacked by otters there every year. Nasty little shits. Man, I got to go to that island. That'd be a good live stream. All right, everyone. I'm being eaten alive by otters. Can you imagine? That'd be the most popular stream ever. Wasted Bonehead, Stick suggestions for books and introducing an academic introduction to demons and other folklore monsters. Go to my books blogs. Yeah, I'm gonna toot my own horn here. I don't remember whether I classed it in the demonology section or in the my work section, but I have a compilation of demonological works. It's I think 400 pages or thereabouts. I think you'll enjoy that. As far as the folkloric monsters, I haven't covered as much of the cryptozoological side of things, although I want to. Just take a look. There's various works on folklore. Awesome, Diesel. We are live. Let's confirm that's accurate. I've completed. Rage on. Swamp Donkey. Disembowel the River Otter. New Sticks death metal song. Insert heavy guitars. This actually sounds like it'd be fun. You know, you stab it in the chest, cut it open, you pull its skin right over your face, and where it's literally still living body with its intestines dripping out as a mask. Hidden Angels, Public Image Limited, Johnny Rotten is MAGA, Anger is an Energy. I like that fucking song, by the way. Anger is an energy. Awesome Diesel, yes, you have pulled the curtain back, inoculated us for many of us in need, and I will always tell you to improve your life and never tell you, this is my pledge to you, to give up. That's one thing that you need to keep in mind. You can get that from plenty of other content creators. We're done. The song is over. Everything's terrible. Just crawl off and die. Oh, you're not going to get that on Stick Sex and Image channel. Go ahead and call me naive. I get called naive by my critics all the time for saying stuff like that. It's like, okay, if you've given up so much, why are you even on the internet? Why aren't you either living as a hermit or committing Sudoku right now? Cardinal Fabrizio Rufo. By the way, I don't even think I'm going to get to the next news stories here. Please don't send any more super chats because I'll gloss them over somehow. Fabrizio Rufo. Coyotes are just schizo dogs. People think they are vicious. I can punt them like turkeys. No one would say that an otter is worse than a coyote. Yeah, although, you do have to keep in mind, if you are in the water attacked by an aquatic creature, it would be sort of, they do gain an advantage. It's just that their size is so much less, unless it's a really big specimen or you're in Brazil. Georgie Georgiev, cheers from the Zaporizhzhia line in UA. One of my mates is there, but they can't ping, so this is a clang from my friend. That's incredible. Yeah, keep me updated with the nuclear plant there. Steve Walsh. Never been to Britain? I don't believe it. Your successful troll of the Yorkshire police tells me otherwise. Come see my lesbian nana. I would like to see the UK sometime. Warwickshire, #1. Get a full English and an Ulster fry. Those look pretty good. Slight variations. I'd like to see Scotland. I really want to try haggis. Opinionated Junkie. Thoughts on 3D printing? We could use more of it in the world. Although for its purposes of building homes and cars and things like that, it seems to have been overblown. Overall, for smaller scale applications, it's definitely revolutionized certainly the gun market. Corto Maltese, shooting in the woods. There was another guy. Thought he was in front of me from the sound of the shots. Turned out I walked in front of him. From how he freaked out, I think he almost pulled the trigger. Jesus. Well, congrats on surviving that one. I'd be shitting my pants myself. Let's see. Trip Boom. Wait a minute. Already read that one. The man behind the screen. Good morning, Sticks and fellow clankers. Hope you're all well today, no matter where you are and what you're doing. That's my hope as well. Jason of Georgia. Speaking of cryptids, I wonder where the hooded Peruvian cartel gold poachers got their jetpacks. Amazon? Yeah, maybe. Amazon Diesel loophole. This is a Rumble rant. Intradasting. Anyway, speaking of 3D printing and other tech, House Dem warns AI could be a tool of digital colonialism without inclusivity guardrails. Yes, the Democrats are warning that if you don't program the AI right, it might be too white, basically. And I just wanted to gloss that over because it's too funny not to at least mention in passing. I think I'll hold the other two stories because those are just more humorous stories. I'm going to hold them for the next live stream. I don't know why I was rambling so excessively today. So I'll hold those over and talk about them tomorrow. The story with Germany, they're making a historical error. That'll require a rant, by the way. And then just something from Vermont that I find funny. The city investigation of Burlington Juneteenth event alleges mismanagement and sparks outcry because the bitch is claiming that she was racially profiled. So I'll hold that over until tomorrow. And I do thank you to the almost 5,000 people who have tuned in live here. I always appreciate that. Alan Smithy, pee is stored in the balls. You are correct. Yes, piss is indeed stored in the testicles. You will learn this if you talk to the wise children of any elementary school. But yeah, I'll go offline now. And at some point, I got to cook. I'm going to make an omelet tonight. I'm going to be lazy about it because some leftover pizza to gnaw on as well. And yeah, we'll be back with the news tomorrow. I'm sure that there will be something Trump-related, probably something Biden-related, and then I'll try to throw in some more non-political news as well because, I mean, I don't want to get burnt out. And scrapping together 7-8 stories a day, if they're all about politics, you start digging into, like, the C-grade material that people don't really give a fucking shit about anyway. I'd like to do more about science, the occult, the paranormal. Please send me news tips, and keep in mind, again, there is a link in the description cross-platform pinned at the top in chat on YouTube. You can buy my new and improved copy of the Book of Forbidden Knowledge. If you're into really, really weird early 20th century works on the occult, you're going to love that one. It's sold tens of thousands of copies in its first incarnation for a reason, I suppose. One last super chat. James Taylor. Just wanted to lodge a complaint against Orange Man Big Volume 2. Should have a disclaimer that the stories are fiction. I had to waste time double checking because they sound so authentic. I get the reference. I thank you for that. I had a good time writing that. Part 3, maybe in the future. I'm not sure. I'm working on literally a dozen other works right now. That's about all. Peace out.